You wouldn't want the Saudis to buy it first, or the Russians or the Chinese or the Europeans. And there's only room for one nation state to buy up 20% of the network. And obviously, I think it should be the United States. I think it will be the United States. It's a way for us to enrich ourselves and emerge as a creditor nation in a matter of a decade. It's also a way for us to ensure that we're the economic leaders in cyberspace and the digital economy for the next 100 years. And if we do that, every one of our allies will follow us, and then all of our enemies will end up having to buy into the network once it passes 10 or 20 million a coin, and they will enrich us.
Michael Saylor, co-founder and executive chairman of MicroStrategy, has strongly advocated for the United States to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. He highlights Bitcoin as a decentralized, incorruptible asset that promotes individual sovereignty and economic freedom. By embracing Bitcoin, Saylor argues, the U.S. can secure its leadership in the digital economy, enrich its citizens, and establish itself as a creditor nation for decades to come. Saylor emphasizes Bitcoin's resilience against government overreach, currency debasement, and asset seizure, making it a critical tool for preserving wealth and autonomy. He underscores the transformative potential of Bitcoin as digital property, free from physical and political constraints, and a safeguard against economic uncertainty, especially for those constrained by traditional systems. Comparing Bitcoin to historical acquisitions like the Louisiana Purchase and Alaska, Saylor envisions it as the manifest destiny of cyberspace. He urges America to act swiftly, acquiring Bitcoin before other nations dominate the network, thereby ensuring U.S. dominance in the digital era and securing economic benefits for generations.
Thanks for the support, and enjoy the video.
Bitcoin literally represents the conservation of energy in cyberspace. Satoshi implemented a protocol which is inherently conservative. If I send Bitcoin to you, I lose it, you have it. I can't create more. I can't lie about it. The thing that's beautiful about nature is conservation of energy. Conservative is based on natural law. It's based on the idea that if you just make something up which isn't true, you'll be punished. And the Bitcoin network represents that innate integrity and truth. You know, if you think about the world today, there's just an inherent force. There's a struggle between capitalism and socialism, between people that believe in freedom and free markets and those that believe in central planning and collectivism. And if I'm a socialist, I want to take away your guns and your money. And Bitcoin is money that they can't take away. Like, what freedom do you have if you have all of your money in a bank that can freeze it? What freedom do you have if you have your money embedded in a currency where someone can print 4x more of it without your approval and debase it to zero? What freedom do you have if you own real estate in a city where the mayor can put rent control on it or expropriate it, or the governor can tax it away from your family? What freedom do you have if all your wealth is in a business where the government can tell you you can't operate, shut down your pipeline, tax your employees, tax your income, regulate your product? And the answer is, you only have conditional freedom until the government changes and they just take away that freedom. And then when they take away your wealth, when they take away your economic power, they're going to starve you to death, and then you've got nothing. So Bitcoin represents putting your economic wealth in cyberspace. It's beyond the reach of the mayor, beyond the reach of the governor, beyond the reach of any nation state, beyond the reach of any other company that would do you harm. It is the first time in the history of the human race that you can bind economic energy tightly to an individual, to a family, to your company, and you don't have to ask permission to have economic wealth, to have money. And you don't have to live in fear that someone gets up on a morning and just takes it all away from you to power you down. And so if I am conservative, I want a family, I want a company, I want freedom Well, how are you going to pay for it? And if you live in a country like Venezuela and the currency goes to zero, you're going to be begging for food next week. Wouldn't it be great if I could take the wealth of my family and put it into a network that no one can loot, no one can corrupt, and at the end of the day, I don't want to gamble my future. I don't want to take my life savings and gamble in the stock market. I don't want to take my life savings and gamble that the mayor of the city won't just take my property away from me. I actually just want to own the wealth. I want to own my money. And Bitcoin is a way for you to convert your capital into digital capital that will last 1,000 years. Your country will be, your company, your country, or your family will be wealthy for generations to follow. You don't have to live in fear. And when you don't have to live in fear, when you have economic independence, you can actually stretch your time horizon out, and you can build an institution, you can build your family, you can build a life for yourself.
Michael Saylor, co-founder and executive chairman of MicroStrategy, has called on the United States to create a national Bitcoin reserve, framing it as a cornerstone for economic leadership in the digital age. He views Bitcoin as a unique, decentralized asset that embodies principles of freedom, security, and financial independence. By investing in Bitcoin, Saylor believes the U.S. can empower its citizens, fortify its economic future, and maintain global influence in an increasingly digital world. Saylor highlights Bitcoin's role as a safeguard against economic instability and government overreach, offering protection from inflation, currency manipulation, and wealth confiscation. He sees it as a revolutionary form of digital property that transcends traditional limitations, providing individuals with greater financial autonomy. In his vision, Bitcoin is not just a financial tool but a foundation for building a more secure and equitable economic system for the future.
You know, this nation became great because of the Louisiana Purchase. We bought a third of the country from Napoleon for a few $1 million. Then we purchased Texas and California from the Mexicans for a few million more. Then we purchased Alaska from the Russians for a few million more. We didn't even know there'd be $1 trillion of mineral rights underneath Alaska when we purchased it. They called it Seward's Folly. But what I'm describing is manifest destiny. If you want to create a great nation, you have to build it on valuable property. You have to know, where is all the money headed? Where is the future? When we bought California, we didn't know there'd be a Hollywood. We didn't know there'd be a Silicon Valley. No one really considered. In 1867, we didn't have a petroleum industry. And so where is the money headed in the future? The money's headed to cyberspace. Bitcoin is property in cyberspace. The manifest destiny of this country is to own cyberspace. And I think that President Trump understands the value of owning scarce, desirable property. If we go to cyberspace and we buy Bitcoin and the nation embraces Bitcoin, then all of the capital in the world, all of the Chinese money, all the Russian money, all the European money, all of the money from the 20th century, the money invested in a Siberian warehouse, the money invested in fill in the blank, anything you could possibly own in Africa, all of that capital is flowing into cyberspace. It's going from physical to digital. It's flowing from the 20th century to the 21st century. The 21st century is going to be 1 billion AIs thinking 1 million times a second. And what are they going to be using to move their money around? They're going to use digital money because they can't get a bank account. They can't get a credit card. I have to approve my wire transfers from my bank once a week. It takes about 20 minutes, and they ask me on the phone whether the money should move. We've been doing it that way for 50 years. And if you look at the way the digital economy is going to run in the 21st century, it's going to be 1 billion computers thinking 1 million times a second, moving assets at the speed of light. Bitcoin represents digital capital. That network is $2 trillion today. It's going to be $20 trillion in 4 to 8 years. It's going to be $200 trillion in 20 years. Then it's going to grow faster than every other asset in the world. It's going to continue to grow. The United States should own it. The way to think about Bitcoin is it's the most powerful digital network in the world. It is cyber power. If you want to dominate the next 100 years, just like the last 100 years is based upon dominating sea power, fire power, air power, space power, nuclear power. You want to dominate cyberspace. You want cyber power. It's the unstoppable network that no one can corrupt. And the use of the unstoppable network, among other things, is hundreds of trillions of dollars of capital moving from point A to point B. But the other use of the network is I can send a message which is unstoppable, and I can store information that is unstoppable, and I can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the authenticity of an instruction or a document. No country, no company, no individual, not 1 trillion computers can corrupt that message. So if you want to own the future, you want to own cyberspace. How do you own cyberspace? You own Bitcoin, and then you run the Bitcoin network. You mine Bitcoin, you own Bitcoin. President Trump understands property. He understands the value of Greenland. He understands the value of Alaska. He understands the value of oil rights. He understands drill, baby, drill would be impossible if we didn't own the land, right?
He understands American dominance.
And land is physical property. When I run electricity through semiconductors and I create a wall of encrypted energy, I create digital property. Bitcoin is digital property. You should own it. Your company should own it. Our nation should own it. It is the future.
In your perspective, how soon do you think we're going to be buying Bitcoin and have within our U.S. reserve at a timeline? You think it's going to be 12 months, 24 months?
I think there's an appreciation of the power of Bitcoin throughout the cabinet, throughout the House, throughout the Senate. There's going to be a political process by which we build consensus with the White House, the Senate, and the cabinet, and find the right way through. But, what I would say on this topic is the U.S. could own 20% of the network like that for free. The dollar would strengthen. The nation would be enriched. And the real promise is if you own 4 to 6 million Bitcoin, you're going to pay off the entire national debt. You're going to neutralize it. We can generate a $50 trillion to $80 trillion benefit to the United States people, to the citizens, to the taxpayers, and we can do it simply by seeing the future. It cost $6 million to buy Alaska. The payoff was $1 trillion. Just like right now, you can literally buy it for a song and dance. That's the opportunity. The risk is that you wouldn't want the Saudis to buy it first, or the Russians, or the Chinese, or the Europeans. And there's only room for one nation state to buy up 20% of the network. And obviously, I think it should be the United States. I think it will be the United States. It's a way for us to enrich ourselves and emerge as a creditor nation in a matter of a decade. It's also a way for us to ensure that we're the economic leaders in cyberspace and the digital economy for the next 100 years. And if we do that, every one of our allies will follow us, and then all of our enemies will end up having to buy into the network once it passes 10 or 20 million a coin, and they will enrich us.
Michael Saylor's vision for a national Bitcoin reserve highlights the transformative potential of Bitcoin as a cornerstone of financial security and independence. He emphasizes the urgency for the United States to embrace Bitcoin as a strategic asset to protect against inflation, strengthen its economic position, and lead the global shift toward digital innovation. Saylor's call to action reflects his belief in Bitcoin as a revolutionary force capable of fostering individual empowerment and reshaping the foundations of the global economy. By advocating for Bitcoin adoption at the national level, Saylor aims to inspire policymakers and citizens alike to recognize its value in safeguarding wealth and enhancing economic resilience. His perspective raises critical questions about the future of money, governance, and personal freedom in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. Saylor's vision invites reflection on the possibilities of a Bitcoin-driven economic framework, urging everyone to consider its implications for both individual prosperity and national strength. Do you think the United States should adopt Bitcoin as a national reserve asset? Why or why not? What are the potential risks and benefits of Bitcoin adoption at a national level? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments.